So you are official.
Good morning, all of you. Welcome all of you for webinar on networking of CA firms. Before starting, I request
काशीनाथ आवाज गेला तुझा.
CA Samir Ladda to give opening remarks.
Well, thank you, Kashinath. Respected Central Council member C. Jay Chera sir, C. Chite sir, Central Council member from Pune, my co-chairman Kashinath Patare, and all the participants. Welcome on this webinar for networking. As all of you know that in future there will be very limited scope for the propriety or a small partnership firm to grow in practice. So there is very much requirement for the networking, mergers and acquisition, etc. of small firms, so that we can grow very well. And there are guidelines of networking from the ICAI. So we must know how to network with other firms, how to go ahead, and we need detailed information and guidance from for this. And it is privilege that we have two Central Council members, say Jay Cheria sir and say C.V. Chitre sir, who can guide us in the best possible way. I personally thank you on behalf of Pune branch and all participants, Jay sir and say C.V. Chitre sir, for giving your valuable time to guide us on this behalf. See, Aishwarya Gundecha, today's MOC, has just joined. She was facing some internet or network problem. So, Aishwarya?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Am I audible to you? Good morning.
Hello.
Before Aishwarya start further process, I would like to make some announcement on behalf of Pune branch, which we have just started for the help of all the members and their relatives in this pandemic situations. Pune branch has formed a COVID support group, and almost 100 CAs have come ahead to help the other members in different segments of the requirement of under this COVID situation. From tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we are going to make the facility available of home delivery food. We are tying with some caterers who will be giving good quality food in a minimum reasonable rate, and we are also tying up with courier service so that you can book required food with the institute, and the courier service will be going to deliver food at your doorstep. Also, plasma donation, blood donation, etc. We are making the groups for them. Lot of plasma donors and blood donors have come forward to help for the Pune branch of members and their relatives. Also, we are trying to make some COVID center to form the COVID center for the members and their relatives, but some permissions are required. Within 2 or 3 days, we will search such places and where we can found the COVID center for the members, and the required permissions we will also take from the government authorities. And one more good news is for Pune branch, due to our Central Council member worked hard for, and we have get permission from the head office for the purchasing of a new building or land for the premises of Pune branch. Within 1 week, we are expected the advertise will come in newspaper. So I congratulate on all members for this good news, and I especially thank C.V. Chite sir for making so much efforts for the Pune branch for getting new premises. Thank you very much. Welcome again, all of you. Wish you happy learning. Aishwarya, for further process, over to you.
Yes, sir.
Please introduce to both speakers to our members.
Sure, sir. I'm sorry for the technical problem on my side. A very good morning to all, and welcome to this amazing session of how the CA firms should be networking. We are really blessed to have with us today key speakers, CA Jay Chaira sir, and also we have with us CA CB Chitare sir. I'm sure after knowing CA Jay Chaira sir, every one of us is going to be in awe. So let me take this opportunity to introduce him. He is a senior member with admirable credentials, charismatic personality, and has immense knowledge. To his credit, there are several degrees, and attention everyone, he has degrees like BCom, LLB, FCA, ACMA, MFM, MBA, PGD, FM, MFC, MPhil, MA, MCom, DBM, DBF, ISA, MBA, ADBA, and the list is so long. And to special credits is AMPGS from US and ADMA from London. He has also studied advanced management at various reputed institutions in Italy, Germany, US, UK, and China. He has been associated with ICAI activities since 1995 and has served as chairman Surat branch in 2005. He's went to become vice chairman WIRC in the year 2012, currently serving his third consecutive term in the Central Council. He has held various committees as chairman, as professional development committees, student skill enrichment board, peer review board, capacity building for members, and so on. He has had significant positions such as president of Rotary Club in 2008, member of Civil Defense, Government of Gujarat. Owing to such certain exceptional contributions, he has been awarded by the Governor of Gujarat as Legend of Surat, by Minister Health of Gujarat as Star of Surat, by Member of Parliament as Jewel in the Crown, by Mayor of Surat as Suratna Sitara, and as youth icon by leading newspaper groups like Dainik Bhaskar. He's also been awarded by the President of India for getting first in India in research, and also awarded by Chief Minister of Gujarat for science and research. His approach is very holistic, and he believes in individual development activities as well. He is very passionate about finance, reporting, and management accounting, and equally passionate about piano, drums, photography, and trekking. He's a state level winner in painting, singing, elocution, and drama. Also acted in various Gujarati dramas and films. Participated in Akshay Kumar International Martial Arts Competition. Eloquent speaker having keen interest in education. He has represented India at various prestigious forums for higher education at Los Angeles, Milan, Phuket, London, Paris, and so more. Currently, he is the chairman of Board of Studies, vice chairman of Committee for Capital Markets, and member of 28 other committees of ICAI. And he's also serving as the chairman of CPD and Education Committee of the South Asian Federation of Accountants. So very exhaustive profile, and we are so sure you are a person who's going to conduct this session, which is going to bring so much knowledge to us. And with this, I welcome you, sir, and thank you for taking this opportunity, for giving us this opportunity to be a part of this, and we are blessed to have you here today. Along with that, I would also like to introduce our very own Sir Chandrasekhar Chitare, sir. He is practicing as a chartered accountant, and
I think that much introduction is sufficient for me. So let us move forward. Yeah.
All right. So I think sir needs no introduction because his actions are his introduction, and we've already seen just recently sir has introduced about the activities that he's conducted for Pune branch. So I welcome you, sir, and thank you for always encouraging and putting up many activities for Pune branch as well. With this, we start for the most awaited session. I request CA Jay Chaira sir to please over to you, sir.
I think Jay also does not need any introduction. Only his introduction was made because attendants should understand to whom they are listening.
A very good morning to all of you. And first of all, thanks to Pune branch, Samir ji and Chitle sir for providing me this great opportunity. And thanks to Aishwarya for such a wonderful introduction, of course. And the topic that has been selected is really very wonderful. Come to that.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, voice is little bit non-audible.
Okay, voice is a problem.
So I think it is audible. It is audible. Maybe at audio listeners and let them adjust. You can adjust volume, but I think it is clearly audible.
Let me check out, sir. I'm just switching over my.
Sir, no required. It is clearly audible.
Okay. Fine. So once again, a very good morning, and thanks to Pune branch and all for providing me this great opportunity. And before I come to the topic, which is very important, very appropriately selected by the chairman at this particular point of time, let me congratulate Pune branch for the inception of the work related to new building premises. And I must tell you, the entire credit definitely goes to Chitle sir. I know very well, getting the infrastructure proposal clear from the institute at Delhi level is a very difficult task, an extremely difficult task. But Chitle sir has been doing the work for long period of time. Many a times he has told me that you have to support me for this particular project because Pune is such a huge branch and so many members. So now it is time for Pune branch to have a wonderful premises so that students can take the maximum advantage. He had been persuading this thing for quite long period of time. And ultimately, I'm happy that some steps are the efforts that you have put in shall surely help Pune chartered accountants and students in the long run. Well, regarding networking, I'll come to that particular aspect, but I think let Chitle sir start with it and give some rough sketch of that. And then as and when he wants me to chip in, I'll surely do that. Sir.
Thank you, Jay. Aishwarya, in the long introduction, you stated that in Jai Bhai there is contribution of USA, etc., etc. But let me tell you that Pune also has contribution in his list of degrees, and he did, I believe, law degree from Pune. So, and he was staying in a hotel which is on Prabhat Road. So we are also very proud that Pune has contribution in the list of degrees and particularly the education that Jay is having. Secondly, as far as this COVID initiative is concerned, I compliment Chairman and Vice Chairman for taking up this right course of action in interest of our professional brothers and sisters. Yeah, I'm also aware that there are maybe other groups also in Pune who are also doing the same cause. So I'm sure that the work of those groups is also needs to be acknowledged, and they are also doing very good work. Only thing is that what I am concerned is chartered accountants, rather than doing this work in a fragmented manner, if all of us come together and form one alliance and the branch, I think that would give more momentum for the purpose of this mission. And maybe every team member can share one or the other objective so that ultimately our profession will be served. Those who are in need will be able to access the help that is offered by the branch and the other groups. So maybe chairman can consider, chairman and vice chairman, of having alliance of all the groups, some coordination. Coming to premises, as you are aware that if you go to any other branch, you will find that they are blessed with very good infrastructure. And then as far as our branch is concerned, I may be corrected by chairman, but at least 1 crore rupees we are spending on rental. So if you consider 5-10 years rental, we can have our own premises. So why spend so much on rental? And today it may be 1 crore, tomorrow it may escalate. So with this view in mind, and also the premises should be appropriately furnished for the purpose of our students and members to take advantage. So once when we have our own premises, maybe an additional one, it would definitely be befitting the branch members and the students. Of course, out of the audience, if you have any acquaintances who can offer such premises, such land, maybe you can get in touch with the branch chairperson or to me, and we can think of also including that in a bid. That advertisement will come after certain clearances, and then in response to that advertisement, everybody can offer a bid, and then whatever is the best, the committee will select. So friends, with this, let us come to the topic slated for this morning. and I welcome all of you to this particular discussion on an important topic. And we certainly don't want to keep it as a monologue. Maybe in chat box also, if you want to raise any questions, you can raise, and Jai Bhai would certainly be able to answer. I will also try to address the issues. Maybe in the meanwhile, Aishwarya or chairman or vice chairman, if they find any relevant query, you can stop us there and have a discussion on that issue or query which is posted on chat box. That would be, I think, a better way to go about, so that rather than we asking, we telling what we know, maybe it would be better that we address to the concerns of the members. So with this initial thought process, let me move ahead. That as you're aware that the common mechanism for the purpose of practice, which is available and which is in vogue, is practice in individual name, practice as a proprietary concern, practice as a partnership or a limited liability partnership. And maybe once the firms grow, they come together with friends and others. There is some activity of merger, amalgamation of the firms. And the institute has also recognized this network mechanism of firms. Amongst the above things, as far as topic for discussion today is certainly a network. So let us try and understand this network. This network is not a new concept. Maybe it came in the year 2005, subsequently modified in 2011. However, it was noticed that not much firms are taking advantage of this facility of network. It got momentum when our Honorable Prime Minister, while addressing the Chartered Accountants on CA Day in 2017 on 1st of July, he stated that if he reviewed the profession and said that, okay, there are big firms, maybe 4 or 5, they exist. These are the firms which are from offshore. They are not from India. Now, India, with such a number of chartered accountants, why can't we have a world-size firm, maybe existing everywhere thereafter in a global fashion? At Institute also, a thought process began, and then it was decided appropriate that after having made this networking of firms facility available to the chartered accountants, not much firms are coming forward. So maybe there is a requirement that we revisit our own regulations and maybe make them more congenial, more amenable for network firms to access. And with this thought process in mind, a committee was set up for the purpose of having a relook at the existing network guidelines and to make supplementary guidelines or revised guidelines as is thought appropriate. And this particular group of council members was led by Jai Chaira, and they had a number of meetings. They interacted. Maybe they prepared a draft of this revised guidelines, pointing out, or after realizing what were the limitations in existing guidelines. They also had public exposure to these draft guidelines. And thereafter, the final guidelines were presented to the council. And after due deliberations, council also has accepted these guidelines. Although we don't believe that, or we don't canvass that this is the last word on networking, at least the ball has to be set rolling. So with these network guidelines, we have set the ball rolling. Hereafter also, if you notice that there are certain limitations, certain improvements required in it, maybe you can keep on informing the council, and council will take stock of these events or suggestions, and at intermittent intervals, maybe we will revisit. Of course, you will appreciate that on monthly basis, if we keep on tinkering with the guidelines, that would be counterproductive. So maybe at the interval of 1 year or 2 years, we can revisit it. So now the new guidelines are announced, and today they are operative. So it is but natural that we understand what are those new guidelines. So let us have this discussion going on. And rather than having a monologue or a lecture, myself and Jay have thought that maybe at intermittent intervals, we will keep on expanding the view. So this much preliminary or opening remarks I have to observe. Over to you, Jay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for giving this particular background. So friends, as sir said, in 2005, we had come for the guidelines for the first time on networks. and we revised it in 2011. Now, what we observed is that even though the guidelines came up in 2005, now we are sitting in 2021, still not even 100 networks were created. So, we are just wondering as to why people are not taking the advantage, how we should modify and make it in such a way that, it serves a better purpose. So that was what was the thought process. And with this, the then president, C. Atul Kumar Gupta ji, created a particular group of council members to study the old guidelines of 2005, 2011 and make the necessary changes. And friends, believe me, we had to take 21 meetings with too much of discussion and going to council 3 times and coming back and once again going and clearing. It was a long process, but I can just tell you what is the current scenario. The current scenario, as we see, is why people are not moving towards this particular guidelines or networks is, one is predominantly, we are mostly in the, still many of us are in the field of audit and taxation. We don't want to go with new verticals. We are not adding up the new verticals. That is one. Another important thing is, we are too much dependent on the empanelment process. Of course, in our western part of India, it might not be so true, but in some of the parts of India, people are very much dependent on empanelment process of ICI PDC. Now, while ICI PDC will keep on doing that, but when you are getting work from the regulators directly, then many times you are not interested in exploring the new avenues. That is also one of the limitations why people have not gone with that. One very interesting thing is, in India, is fear of loss of identity. We are so much obsessed with our name that we don't want to go into network and lose our name. Of course, if you go with networks, a person will be happy to be a proprietor and have his own name. That is the Indian mindset as of now, rather than coming into network and dilute the name. Too much about name, right? That is one of the reasons. But let us understand, friends, if you are not creating larger firms, then the problem is that you might nurture a client. There is a person who has started a business, you nurture him, you provide him initial services, you make him grow, and once he keeps on growing and grows to a certain level, then he will leave you because his requirements are different. And then he'll go to the next firm. And then he will say, I put in all the efforts, I provided in all the best things, and over a period of time, what has happened? He has shifted. But then we have to introspect. What is the reason? What is the reason? See, initially his requirements are different and we are providing certain type of services. Now with growth, naturally requirements are different. Any client who is going to grow, let us take an anecdote like this. Of course, it's a ridiculous one, but let us think it that. Suppose I am selling kids wear. My clients are kids. Now they are going to grow. If I only sell kids wear, they are going to go somewhere else. They are going to go to Levi's. They are going to go to Benetton. So now what I have to do is, I have to situate that I develop different verticals. I make networks. I create larger firms and situate the other services, the value-added services, which our clients are going to use or require in future. We create that atmosphere under a roof or at least under the network. So that is the need of the hour. Very rightly said by Chitle sir. While of course Institute has been putting too much of efforts in this particular direction, but when the PM specified that while Indians are too intelligent and Indian chartered accountants without any doubt are known across the globe, why is it so that we having largest number of chartered accountants effectively across the globe? Here, Chitle sir, I'd like to tell you, once I had gone to Madrid, Spain, representing India. And the interesting thing was, one by one, various persons from their institute are going to speak about their institute. So somebody came from Sweden and he boasted that we have 2,000 members. Another gentleman from France, he said we have 5,000 members. Yet another somebody from maybe some other country, say Italy, we have 3,000. And then when we go and we say we have 300,000 chartered accountants. Now this is what is our size. Just look at it, where we are, right? Those countries have 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 chartered accountants. Even entire Europe getting together cannot be even 1/4 of what we are today. So we have a good number, and it's not only quantity, it is the qualitative quantity. Let us understand. Still, there is something missing. We are not missing in terms of knowledge. In terms of technical knowledge, probably we are the best. The domain expertise that we have on direct taxes, on GST, on company law, I think nobody else has. And many a times we see chartered accountants, a single person is good with all these various fields. So technical terms, we are wonderful. But still, there are some bottlenecks why we are not moving forward. So PM had a vision. PM had a vision. Why not 100 big firms from India? Why PM? Our council had the same vision. Our council had and has and will continue to have a vision that we require more and more Indian firms to come forward and first scale up at local levels, come out with the networks, then go to the national level, and next go global. And friends, let me tell you one thing, and you will appreciate this. Samir ji, Aishwarya ji will appreciate this fact that if the entire world can look at India, for information technology, right? Entire world. If it is IT sector, they have to look at India, right? Pune is also a very big contributor in this particular aspect. Then the question is, what is the second field where the world has to come to India? And the second, without any doubt, is finance and taxation. And who is good at it? We. The only thing is that, see, the entire world did not straight away come to India for IT. Some IT companies first took up some work, small work. After the small works were taken up, right, when they grew in size, more work came up, they further grew. And then you created some Infosys, or you created some Wipro or TCS or whatever the case may be. Similar is our case. From single individual proprietorship, we have to become 2 partner firms. From 2, we have to go to 4. We, over a period of time, have to come up with large size firms providing various verticals, particularly the new dimensions, the new fields of practices, which other firms are probably not even imagining. We are 360-degree consultants to business, but we are restricting ourselves to only a few fields. So identifying those areas and providing values-added services, and then creating larger network. Believe me, it will take some time. But once the work starts coming in India, flowing in India, then just look at what is going to be the market size. Friends, kindly understand one thing. The market size of India is given. It might grow at the rate of, say, 10%. But then our chartered accountants are also growing at the same pace, number of chartered accountants. So per person, per capita, there is no probable growth. Growth can only be there when you add on a new size, when you have to add the size of the market, right? How do you add the size? It is only by serving our clients globally. Now, Corona might be a challenge, but it is a boon to chartered accountants in one way. Chitle sir will agree with me that even 2 years back, Chitle sir, we had the option to have Zoom meeting, but we are very much used to have physical meeting, right? I would always feel that if it is regarding infrastructure of Pune, then I have to sit physically with sir, Chitle sir, and then only if we discuss, we can take it forward. Zoom was available, BlueJeans was available, all other platforms were available, but we were reluctant to use. Now with this Corona, we are so comfortable. I think even kids are comfortable now. Even a 2-year boy from India is now comfortable using all these platforms. So what does it mean? Now using this, let us take the next step and get the foreign work flowing in India. That is what should be the next step. I just remember one more thing. I was once traveling from Tallinn, that is the capital of Estonia, to Helsinki, that is the capital of Finland. In the ship, I met one gentleman, and just I could see that from his face that he is Indian. So I just interacted. I said, so your name? He told me one name, and then I gave my name. And then I asked, what are you doing? He said, I'm a chartered accountant. I said, wonderful. I'm also a chartered accountant. And I said, what are you doing here? He said, I am providing technology services here. I have major clients in Finland and major clients in Estonia. I said, wonderful. You are from which place? He said, Pune. That's interesting. That's interesting. I think he sent me the message also in the morning. I'll just tell you the name. He is from Pune, Milind Telavane from Pune. I met him by chance. We were traveling in the same ship. So, this is what chartered accountants can do. So let us understand. It is not only the PM's vision, it's the vision of our president, of the entire council. We really want to see to it that you come together, take up the opportunity of pulling the resources, your expertise, combined strength, and showcasing pan-India presence. So this is what I think initially I wanted to say. Chitle sir, you can add on, please. And if there are any questions, we can take that also.
Yes, just continuing the thought process that you have stated, that not only Zoom meetings are taking place for committees, for council, for branches, but one will appreciate that even disciplinary proceedings, the hearings of disciplinary committee are also now going online, and those are also being conducted by this virtual mode. Just extending what Jay has stated, that if you know, as far as this taxation talent is concerned, no doubt the Indian Chartered Accountants has the world best talent in taxation, and one will really appreciate that to plug the loopholes in tax laws, even the US team of government had visited India to know what are various loopholes that have been found out in tax system and how the law has addressed it. Secondly, what is the world language of accounting? Now, barring few countries, maybe everybody is embracing IFRS. We have also embraced IFRS. That was our commitment of our president to an international group. But then look at our embracing. We have not blindly copied and adopted IFRS as they are or as they were. We have changed them according to the Indian circumstances, and some of the carve-outs we have made. And then now we are in dialogue with the IFRS headquarters. Not that we are telling them we accept all of what we have done, but whatever carve-outs we have made, you accept, because they will make better IFRSs. So that is our talent. And let me just inform you one of such carve-outs which we have here. In case of consolidation of accounts, generally all the subsidiaries and associate enterprises are consolidated with the parent. But there, we have taken a view in India that if it is, say, a Section 25 company, maybe company constituted for the purpose of CRS, charity, etc. In that case, that company, although you are technically having control over the company, it will not be consolidated. For the simple reason that whatever strengths are there of that particular charitable institution or institution doing this rendering corporate social responsibility, it has got nothing to do with the business, and therefore such enterprises should not be consolidated. Whereas IFRS is taking different view, but one will appreciate as a chartered accountant, not because India view, but because it is a principled view, the consolidation of such CSR entities won't give you appropriate picture of the group. So these are the carve-outs that we are talking of. As far as the networking guidelines that we will be discussing are essentially networking guidelines relating to domestic firms or domestic proprietorships, whatever. They do not include anything on international front. We are seized of the fact that yes, there are international networks also which are existing, operating, maybe in India also. But in second phase, the institute will address that. Maybe I would request Jay also to subsequently tell about it. The developments, but presently we are addressing only network of domestic enterprises. That is because of, I think, SV Barve has posted one query. Now, as the Jay said that we are more dependent upon empanelment, etc., with C&AG, with banks, etc. Yes, as far as regulatory agencies are concerned, they need to accept this concept of network. Institute is mindful of it, and efforts are being made in this particular direction, that the regulators also recognize the strength of these networks. Presently, maybe for empanelment under certain circumstances, indirect manner of recognition we have provided. I think Jay will be able to address it. And as far as code of ethics relating to advertisement, referral fees, etc., that has been taken care of. So whatever institute comes up, definitely has to be in keeping with code of ethics. You cannot recommend anything which flouts whatever is recommended or whatever is made mandatory under code of ethics. This was just to address some of the queries raised by SV Barve. So at this juncture, whether Jay, you would like to react, and then we shall go ahead.
Yeah, sir. I'll just quickly touch upon the approaches that you have taken up. See, we have given the flexibility to our members now. Of course, very rightly said by Chitle sir, that this is what the network guidelines have been made. We cannot tinker with the guidelines on monthly basis to be counterproductive. But of course, This is what you have started proposing. You have given them the 3 options. Once you start working on that, there is no sound. Sir, I think it is
We
audible.
are able to listen. We are able to listen you.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
as I was talking about, that, as of now, we have given the 3 options, 3 models. In future, of course, depending upon the circumstances, depending upon the feedback, depending upon the requirements, we can modify. We can very much modify, and we can even have more models, or we can consolidate, or we can, whatever is required, we can do. So as of now, there are 3 different models, 2 approaches. First approach is alliance. Second approach is network. Let us first understand what is the difference between alliance and network. And in network, we have 2 different models. We put it as B1 and B2 model. I'll just quickly touch upon these models. First is alliance. Alliance is just various firms coming together. Different firms come together to form an alliance, and an alliance name can be registered with ICAI. All these firms are only joining the alliances for the purpose of sharing their knowledge and for the purpose of their resources. They are not being fully regulated, right? All the firms shall remain individual. See why we are proposing alliance model. Let us understand. Even though there might be many advantages of networks, but individual firms, suppose there are 4 individual firms of Pune A, B, C, D. All the 4 firms are eligible for bank audit. They don't want to forego it. That's a limitation. That's the limitation why people are not coming together. That if they become a single network, would they get only 1? So that is what restricts them. So we have given the first step. Alliance model, where you just join together. Don't worry about it. Your individual identity shall continue, and you shall continue to go with MEF, empanelment, whether for CNAG or bank audit or whatever. Individual firms will continue. The only thing is that you are just coming together so that there is common discussion, maybe common stationery comes up. Of course, common nomenclature, you can get better options. You can show it to your clients that your network and your presence across geographical different cities and like that. That is the purpose. That is the first model, alliance. Second one is network, in which one is the traditional model of networking, which is the existing model since 2005. Second, we came out with the lead firm concept. This we term as B1 and B2. In case of the traditional network, the firms will come together, and it is the network which will apply for empanelment. That is what is the second model. And the third model is the lead firm model, where one particular firm will lead all other firms. The common pool will be considered. We will go, as Chitle sir rightly said, we will go to the various authorities. This is the right time to go to CNAG, to RBI, to all other authorities, explaining them that what we are doing is towards in the nature or in the direction of what is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister. That can be a better point for us to explain them. For that purpose, just consider that this is the lead firm and it represents all other firms, so that take the combined strength of that, and on the basis of that, allotment can be there. Because as of now, with the major criteria, most of our firms are not covered up in CNAG audit, like they cannot get it. But if they come together and a lead firm applies on behalf of all the firms, they may get major work. And once you start getting major works, naturally you scale up to that particular level, and over a period of time, you develop your competencies in such type of areas. So your lead firm will do that on behalf of the firm. So a cursory idea about what these approaches are about. Alliance and all the networks, they will be registered by ICAI. Alliance will be given an ARN, Alliance Registration Number, and in network, it will be NRN, Network Registration Number. So you have to register yourself with ICAI. So that means ICAI recognizes you. And now ICAI will go to the government that you also recognize. Actually, we have started, our PDC is already working on this, going to various authorities and requesting them that recognize these networks, because this is going to help our Indian firms going global. This is going to improve upon the quality of our firms. So in terms of alliance, it is not fully regulated, it is partially regulated. As I said, you are coming together, but your individual identity remains the same. While in case of networks, you will be a little more regulated. So this is what is the cursory idea. Let me talk about alliance first, and then I'm sure Chitle sir will add on that. Sir, let us first cover alliance part only. In alliance,
before that, Lance, let me just chip in that as we are aware that what was observed by this group about the existing practice, that is majority CA firms are of small size firms. And what is the disadvantage of this small size firm? If supposing now any of the participants, just imagine that you are appointed as an auditor of some, say, A group company in listed, shares, maybe like Reliance, TCS, Telco, or Infosys. Just put hand to your heart and ask whether you will be able to do the justice to that particular appointment. So one just cannot imagine being appointed as a auditor or as a consultant to such large enterprises. So how those firms are going to survive? Because when you expect that your firm should grow, ultimately it has to grow in size as well, infrastructure as well. What we are talking about branch, that branch should have better infrastructure. It is true of each firm also. That also should have better infrastructure. Large number of firms are confined to the practice in audit and taxation. And as Jay rightly said, that audit based on empanelment, etc. But there are a number of areas of practice, maybe rendering services to central government, to state government. If they want to come out with some modification in GST, they are taking consultation of chartered accountancy firms. But whether they will think of your firm to take this particular consultancy. So we have to grow beyond audit and taxation. And if it is one partner, one proprietor, two partner, three partner firm, how they can spare a partner for the purpose of developing a new practice. So that also becomes a question mark. Then members have attachment to their firm name. Here, I think we will have to educate ourselves that what is there in name. It is not only Shakespeare to tell us, but we also have to realize that the name has got nothing to do. Ultimately, one has to consider, even if you consider some of the largest enterprises, they are not after the name of the owners, they are after some other things like just Infosys or Reliance. So they are not after names of the owners. So we have to really share this lust for name. Jay has already pointed out, when clients grow bigger, they desert. Naturally, if I was handling a particular work as a partnership, as a private company, and then with growth in size, they want to shake hands with MNC or they want to go public. They would not like to retain me because they want public confidence in the name of auditor's firm. I may be very good in doing audit, following all the procedures, maybe appropriately doing the audit and issuing report. But my firm should be known not only nationally but internationally, so that they have confidence that this CA firm is performing its duties very independently and not really they are under the pressure of the management. So that comes when you grow in name and fame. For that, your size has to develop. For gaining expertise, again, you need a variety. So if you are doing, say, rendering transfer pricing or such other services to 10 enterprises, and there is another firm which is rendering these services for 100 enterprises, just imagine which firm will have expertise better. Of course, with volume, you will gain variety, and with variety and studying that variety, you will gain more expertise. So these ends in mind, this networking guidelines have been announced. There was one constraint that as a partnership, one cannot go beyond 20. But now the practice in form of limited liability partnership has come, and that particular partnership has overcome this concept of number. Now in LLP, there can be partners up to, I believe, 200 or maybe even more than that. So this particular network concept is not a full stop. It is a comma. What we believe that post networking, you come together. And once when you come together, you join as partners so that you become 200% firm, 100 partners firm. And that will really be a sure roadmap for the purpose of growth. And as Jay has stated, that first, the alliance concept has come, which is coined by this particular group under leadership of Jay. So let us understand what is alliance. Then we will go to network. In network, there are two alternatives. One is the present guideline of network that all firms come together. But a new concept has been developed by this particular group is the network with lead firm. So some firm may be of a bigger size, they will have better resources. So while applying, this lead firm will apply, that will get the job. And amongst the network partners or network firms inter se, there would be some mechanism for distribution. Of course, in all these three models, whatever is your understanding, that understanding will have to be furnished to the institute. And therefore, there is a transparency. If there is any question, any difference of opinion, you have some background material to rank on. Of course, all are chartered accountants, so definitely they will draft their alliance or their networking model in a most appropriate manner. Once when you enter alliance, it is not a fait accompli. If you feel that, okay, after a couple of years, you are not really finding the growth or whatever objectives with which you join the alliance or network, there is exit route also available. So much flexibility is available. So all things which are one desires in a partnership firm, in a partner, they are also available in network. If you feel that some more flexibility was required, some more things were required, maybe you can suggest. But in the intervening period, you can incorporate those things in your alliance agreement and abide by those things, so that all freedom has been left to the entities which are joining the alliance. So with us, let us come to understanding of these three firms. In the meanwhile, one question has come by Narayan Jain, that in networking, does the individual identity of small firm goes away? I think, yes, Jay will take up this question, and with that, he will continue with explaining first the alliance model.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, the
Yeah,
question
Jai,
is, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to just interrupt, but we have a good team of women chartered accountants as well, who are really eager to know about how all this works for a woman chartered accountant. And Swati Paradkar ma'am has asked that how does this, what is the recognition that a woman CA gets, especially a proprietor, without any male domination? And also, if you could just highlight, what are the areas and how one can develop strong network by a woman chartered accountant for a newly formed practice. Also, we have few questions coming up, but I think if you can just focus on this, and later there's also one more regards to alliance, how to form an alliance, and if you could just share a draft deed of how to make an alliance.
Okay. Thank you,
Aishwarya, let me tell before Jay begins that the council has appointed Jay. Jay, 1 minute. I'm just giving comfort to Aishwarya and all other women chartered accountants that council has consciously appointed Jay Bhai as leader of the group because he has a soft heart for women folk, and therefore you will find everything is appropriate for women folk. He will amplify.
That's amazing.
Before Jay sir give the answer of this question, just for information, soon within 4 or 5 months, Aishwarya is going to going for her marriage, and she is going to stay abroad. So we will have more opportunities to make networking abroad through Aishwarya.
Thank you, sir. I don't know like how this has come, but thank you.
Yeah. So let me first address the first query that was regarding whether you lose your identity. No, you will not totally lose the identity once you join network. If there are 4 firms joining the network, you do not lose your identity. You can continue the work that you do only for the limited purpose of MEF. Only for the limited purpose of MEF. Why have you joined a network? See, there are 2 reasons for network joining. One is scaling up, right? Pulling all the resources and being better. Another is you are smaller firms and you are not entitled to go to CNAG for major work because of various criteria. In many of the work, there are criteria: minimum so and so number of partners, minimum so and so turnover, whatever the case may be. You are not in a position to fulfill that criteria. So when you come together, then there are very good chances that you can fulfill this criteria and can get the work to network. So when you apply for empanelment through the network, then naturally you cannot apply for the same work individually also. Only to that extent, your individuality has a question mark. Otherwise, you are definitely individually separate firms and you can continue practicing the way you can. Let us understand, only and only for the limited purpose of MEF, otherwise also, you are not getting major works of CNAG. So there, if network is applying, then actually you cannot individually apply. Another thing that Swati ji has asked, the question posed by Aishwarya was, what about women and what about male domination? Well, I think male domination in our profession can only be a myth, because whether it is income tax or it is GST or it is company law or it is valuation or it is forensic, there is nothing where a male has an upper hand over a female. Let us understand, network guidelines is good for all. You can even have a network of all the females together, right? Where is the question of restrictions? There can be 5 males coming together. There can be 5 females coming together. There can be 2 males and 3 females coming together. As of now, let us understand, we are into such a profession where domination of male or anything female is not coming up, because we are not a blue collar job. We are a white collar person, right? There is no distinction at all between males and females. By the way, I was the chairman of the Women Members Empowerment Committee, and I have handled that committee for 3 years. And this year also I am the member of that committee. And just a few days back, I had a discussion on what are the various areas where females should focus, right? So let us once again understand, there is clearly no distinction. There is clearly no domination. It is all in your mindset. Nobody is stopping anyone from going to any client, from providing services. Nobody is stopping, right? So I think that was the...
See, our profession is actually a knowledge-based profession. So if you have knowledge, if you have exposure, I think nobody thinks whether you are a woman or whether you are men. And we have several illustrious examples. Even on the council earlier, we had Bhavna Doshi. We have presently Kemisha Soni. So whatever topics they talk, it's not discriminated that some woman is speaking, so let us give less discounting. That is not the case. So if you have knowledge, people don't consider who you are. They are concerned with your solution, not with the personality. Yeah, over to you.
Right. So now let us move on to the alliance model, right? That is the first model. In alliance model, various firms come together for mutual benefit. Name can be something like A, B, C, D, and alliance, right? So alliance will be there as a suffix, A, B, C, D, and alliance. There will be an ARN that ICAI will allot. You will apply to ICAI, because one of the question was, what is the procedure? The procedure is simple. You have to apply to ICAI and it will allot the ARN, right? Constituent firms can carry on practice as independent firms. Let us understand. The question answer is clear. You are all independent firms. You continue with your practice in all the independent manner. The only thing is, we are coming together. You are coming together to have a single nomenclature. You can have stationery which appears the same. You can have some other things where you want uniformity, but that is all up to you. It is all up to the alliance, right? It is not essential. ICAI is not recommending that you should do this or you should do that. There, ICAI is giving you complete flexibility. One alliance can come out with common stationery, another alliance may not come out. It is all up to you. The only thing is, ICAI is recognizing the alliance model now, which was not earlier recognized. You are continuing with your practice as you were, right? Firms of one alliance cannot become member of another alliance. So you can be member of only one alliance. That is one important thing. Moving further, all firms in the alliance can apply for empanelment separately as individual firms. Kindly understand, this is a very important question that members have. What about the application, MEF applications and all? Each and every firm shall have an opportunity to separately apply for empanelment. You are coming together effectively for non-audit services. For audit services, where empanelment is there, you are all independent. So that means you have all the luxuries. You have luxuries of both the world, of being together also and being separate also. For the purpose of empanelment, when you have to show your strength, you are together. But when otherwise, you have to empanel on your own, you are doing it on an individual basis. So both the benefits are there. The only issue is independence aspect has to be considered. That means if one firm of the alliance is doing the statutory audit, the other firm of the same alliance cannot do internal audit. I think that is the same principle we apply in partnership, right? If one partner is involved with statutory audit, the same firm partner will not do internal audit. So here comes the internal independence concept has to be considered. I think this is more or less about this particular concept of alliance. Referral of professional work is allowed. This is important. This is important because this was a point raised number of times whether referral should be allowed. Yes, referral can be allowed. At the same time, sharing of fees and sharing of cost is also permitted. That means ICAI has given you number of options. You can do whatever you want, and a partner of a firm that gets appointed will sign reports. In an alliance, if you put up the alliance, you showcase the alliance and get the work in the name of alliance, then as per the agreement between the firms, one of the firms partner will sign. And if there is any delinquency, that will affect only that firm, not the entire alliance. This is another very important thing, that suppose 10 firms are coming together to form an alliance and there is some issue with one firm. If one firm has violated the code of conduct, then that particular delinquency is with respect to one firm and not the entire alliance. That is there. But if the firms have executed the project together, then there will be an issue. And that's why it is very essential that all the division of work should be well documented. So otherwise, whatever is the code of ethics for a partnership firm, the same code of ethics shall continue for all the firms in the alliance. So these are some of the basic things. Firms can join alliance at any point of time. It's your choice. There is an exit also. You can have entry, you can exit by of the agreement that you deem is right as per the law for the time being in force in the nation. Right? You can just go with that. Reconstitution, if done, has to be registered with ICAI. Constitution registered. If there is any change in the constitution, naturally that also has to be registered with ICAI. So if one firm leaves the alliance, that does not deprive the alliance from doing the work. Let us understand. You are an alliance of 10 firms. You have got the work from a big client and one of the firms moves out of alliance. The work was not in the name of that firm. Kindly understand. If the work was received in the name of the alliance. So the work still continues with the alliance, right? So it is very essential that you document the things very well. Of course, draft document, there was a question on that also. ICAI is coming up with a draft document. There can be various suggestions, but there is full flexibility. You can draft your bylaws, your regulations in your own ways, of course, within the framework, so as not to contradict Chartered Accountancy Act, regulations, and Code of Ethics, of course, and council guidelines. You don't have to contradict that. Otherwise, you have full flexibility. You can make the agreement the way you want, and you can submit this copy of your internal agreement to ICAI. I think this is, in nutshell, something about alliance. Chitle sir, if you'd like to add something.
Yeah, just to tell about the formalities and repeat that the alliance can have a name. And as the example was given, ABCD are the 4 firms coming in alliance. They can have named something made combination of their names. So it may be ABCD and alliance. And for the purpose of this name reservation, you have to apply in Form A, and those guidelines are available. And I have shared also the revised guidelines with the branch with a request to share with all the members. So these revised guidelines will tell you all these things. Then as far as this your agreement inter se is concerned, how your alliance will work, how the referral work is there, how the fees will be shared, how the resources will be shared, what will be the stationery. So whatever you want to internally agree upon, so that at a later date there is no difference of opinion. Or if at all there is difference of opinion, there is some reference document available for the purpose of discussion or for the purpose of resolving the differences. So this document preparation is a must. It is not optional. And not only that, the alliance will prepare the document, but that document has to be shared with the institute. So it should be on institute's record that you are giving document. And for registration of the network, the guidelines say that you have form number B. So this form B, along with the agreement with the of all the firms for joining in alliance, shall be submitted to the institute. And as I said that there can be realignment of that alliance, maybe some new firms joining, maybe some of the firms exiting. So whatever realignment is there, for reconstitution of the alliance, you have form C. So these forms are there. A is for registration of name or reservation of name. B is for registration of alliance, and C is for modification of any deed. So once when you are registered with the institute, then only you can call yourself alliance, not before that. So after registration, you will be alliance, and a separate alliance registration number ARN will be allotted by the institute to all those firms, so that they can have a common letterhead, etc. for alliance. As far as practice is concerned, firms are free to carry out practice as an independent firm despite being constituents of the alliance. Of course, alliance may direct best practices to be followed by individual firms, and all firms can embrace those best practices, so that the alliance firms grow in tandem, and whatever services are offered by them are of a similar quantity. Of course, any firm belonging to one alliance, it cannot be member of some other alliance or network. So you have to be identified with only one alliance or one network. You cannot be a member of multiple alliances and multiple networks. All the firms of alliance are entitled to make application for empanelment to whatever authorities, be it C&AG, be it bank audits, in independent manner. So it is not necessary that once when you join the alliance, you cannot apply. Actually, you have to apply as an individual firm for the purpose of this empanelment. And as far as conflict is concerned, where conflicts exist, if one firm does the statutory audit, the other entity, it will be considered as constituent of one firm. So, if a firm is doing statutory audit, it cannot do internal audit. If they are doing internal audit, they cannot do attest function, tax audit, etc. So whatever limitations are attached to a particular firm because of some relationship with the client or client group, all those limitations, be it section 144 of the Companies Act, be it under Code of Ethics, all those limitations will apply to all the firms in the network. So that needs to be kept in mind. So it is not that in alliance firm, one is doing statutory audit and other is doing internal audit or other some management consultancy. That will not be possible, because independence of an auditor will be seen qua alliance and not qua a firm. Then as far as characteristics are concerned, firm can come together for mutual benefits. Individual firms take up the professional work, and since all constituents are CA firm, referral work can be done, and even for
चित्रेश सर कोई टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम? And Jay sir, can you continue?
Yeah.
Call.
So let me continue till that time, so that let Chitle sir come in by that time. So anyway, I'll just give quick idea of what alliance model is there. Now let me give quick idea about network. Of course, we have a number of question answers and we'll definitely deal with that. But let me just give you the overall picture first. Network model, that is the old network model without the lead firm concept. In that particular model, if you look at it, firms come together for mutual benefits, once again the same way as we discussed, right? Name can be ABCD network, right? ABCD network, XYZ network. There will be an NRN, network registration number, that ICAI shall allot. Of course, you have to apply, and ICAI shall allot. And there has to be an internal agreement between all these firms who create the network. Display of network name shall be allowed by ICAI, right? On stationery or whatever the case may be. That means you can showcase your strength. And for empanelment, it is the network which can apply, right? All firms belonging to network can apply for empanelment separately. Let us understand. and ICI shall, of course, as discussed, I think Chitle sir is already there. As discussed earlier, ICI has already started to the PDC, trying to showcase, to explain the government that, let us support this network, let us recognize them, their combined strength for the purpose of empanelment. So, Chitle sir, you may continue now. I was just starting with network, but you are in the midst. Please continue. Sir, you have to unmute. You have to unmute.
No, strength of my network was under test. I think that I had to reconnect with the network. As far as Alliance is concerned, I think we have discussed for Alliance. And those forms also we have seen. So now you can think of applying. And particularly in Alliance, if you look at, since each firm is applying for the professional work, etc., it has got strength of other Alliance partners to allocate. Now, supposing a particular big group gives you, say, work for the purpose of statutory audit, income tax audit, GST audit, and maybe your firm is more expert in accounting, you can definitely pull in resources of other firms which are part of Alliance for doing some GST work or doing income tax work, and then you will be able to service that client. So basically, it is the individual expertise of a particular firm that can be accessed for rendering services. Secondly, small firms cannot have expertise in all walks of profession. So that limitation is overcome by this particular expertise. And as we said earlier, and now also at the cost of repetition, let us state that these models of Alliance, networking, etc., are a comma, they are not full stop. Thereafter, you have to do your practices, keep your relations in such a manner that maybe ultimately, maybe after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you mature into a large firm so that you become one firm and start practicing in your own name. Thereafter, you will be able to really reach benefits. And for this Alliance, maybe you can think different geography, different work area. So all these things can be thought of for the purpose of having Alliance. Now, after this Alliance model, let us move to networking model. And as Jay said, that in case of networking, there are two models, B1 and B2. So Jay, if you can take us through this B1, we will discuss B1 and then go to new model B2.
Right. So I was discussing that only. I just discussed that you can form a network for your mutual benefits, and it can be XYZ network, and NRN shall be allotted by ICI on registration, and all these firms can come together with a particular internal agreement for their integration. Display of network name is allowed on stationery. Firms of one network cannot become a member of another network. You can choose only one network. And the same issue of independence will be there. Same issue. Like if now one firm of the network has done the statutory audit, naturally there's another firm from network cannot do the internal audit. Quality control is well documented and complied with, that has to be taken care of by the network. And referral is permitted, the same as Alliance case. In case of delinquency also, it will be only on one firm, provided only that one firm has done the default. If that has been done by a number of firms, then of course it may extend. So it is always better. It is always better to have a properly documented, well drafted, say, agreement, so as to identify that. Code of ethics will remain the same for the network as today it is for the firms. And the firm can easily join the network or can move out of the network. There is no taboo. And if one firm leaves the network, still the network continues, and the work that has been obtained by the network can be continued by the network. That would also not be an issue. Needless to say that the network bylaws should be in congruence with and should not be in contradiction with the Chartered Accountancy Act, regulation, code of ethics, and the council guidelines. And the same network agreement has to be submitted to the ICI by the network. I think this is something about B1. Similar are the provisions in B2 also. Similar the provisions, except that particular thing that here the lead firm shall apply. Here the empanelment, it is a lead firm which will apply. In the earlier B1 concept, it is the individual firms which are applying for MEF. Here it is the lead firm which is applying. except that most of the things are different, are the same. Same like XYZ network will be there in B2 also, like B1. Same NRN will be generated. ICI will allot NRN under this case also and that case also. So more or less everything else is the same. Sir, if you'd like to add anything on. Sir, unmute please.
Yeah, as far as modalities are concerned, now Jay has explained two network models. One is the traditional one, where all firms are applying and all firms are doing the work according to their understanding inter se. And in B2, it is supposing there are 5-6 firms coming together. They elect that, okay, this one firm would be the lead firm. And then accordingly, maybe you can give name as per that lead firm, or maybe you can have combination of those names. For the purpose of name reservation, for B1 model, the same form A is to be used. And for lead firm model, a AA form is there. For registration, the forms are respectively B and BB. And for reconstitution, the forms are C and CC. So those forms can be used and you can reserve the name, you can register your network, or you can reconstitute the network. Only in case of last model, that is lead firm model, one has to elect one lead firm and then carry out the profession. The appointments will come in the name of lead firm. So supposing there are 4 firms A, B, C, and D, and they constitute this B2 model lead network with lead firm. And certain appointments or assignments are executed in that model, and subsequently, say D firm exits that particular network. So whatever assignments that are executed by this particular network when the D was member firm, it cannot take credit of, they cannot say that, okay, they have done audit of a particular enterprise, because that was done in the name of A, and the A only can continue to showcase that as an experience. Other firms will not be able to showcase it. But as we said that our ultimate objective is to form one firm, I think once when you mature into one firm, this particular limitation can be overcome. And also, whatever exposure which otherwise the small firm would not have had, because of alliance with a larger firm, one will definitely be able to have that exposure, that expertise, and that understanding. And common SOPs will be developed. Also, simple thing like maybe if you subscribe to one of the software relating to, say, taxation or other things, maybe all partners from network will be able to access that particular software subject to agreement with that particular software provider. So all these common expenses sharing, common R&D, common knowledge base, all these things will come to all the 3 models without saying. So whether you get additional resources, additional professional work or not, at least as far as knowledge and deliverance is concerned, I think there would be a substantial growth to each firm which are participating in this particular model. So I'm sure that one can give a try. And generally, while you have partnership with some individual or some firms, there is always a thought process that, okay, if I become one firm along with, say, 2-3 firms, and all my clients will be pulled into that particular firm. And what happens if maybe after 1 year I realize that this is not my cup of tea, or maybe others feel that no, this is not their cup of tea, and they decide to disintegrate. Again, you have to tell all the clients that from being Messrs A, we have joined, say, alliance or firm Messrs ABCD, and now from ABCD, we are again disintegrating into Messrs A or Messrs B. So again, all the procedural work will have to be carried out. But ahead of that, maybe if you want to test the waters, maybe you can join in network where your identity is not lost, your appointments and all other things, your articles will continue with your firm. And after 2 years, when you gain confidence of all the firms, or maybe some of those firms can merge themselves into one firm. So this will ultimately lead to enrichment of all the firms. So this is the whole idea of this networking alliance, etc. So Jay, if you want to add, otherwise we'll go to questions.
So let us take up the questions then. We will cover up everything in question and answer format only.
Right. So I think we appeal members to ask questions. Either they can put in chat box, or maybe they can talk to chairman, vice chairman, or
Sir, many questions.
Yeah.
Many questions have come up. I think Aishwarya can post the questions and we can
Aishwarya, you can
answers.
I
Sure, sir,
request
the session is very
Ashwarya.
interesting. So I request, yes, sir, Kashinath, sir. I
Sir,
request CA Kashinath Pathare, sir, Vice Chairman, to please take up the questions.
thank you,
In the
Aishwarya.
meanwhile, first question, Jay, you can just answer is what is difference between alliance and network? Kashinath, in the meanwhile, you can prepare yourself for the questions.
Okay.
Oh. Sir, the difference is as good as engagement and marriage. Alliance is the first step moving towards network. See what is happening. People are reluctant. The same fear of losing the client, same fear of losing the identity or that attachment with the name. So they don't want to straight away come in network. So what we have done is we have facilitated them. That first step is alliance. You just come together. So your firm name will continue. All your firm names will continue. Your same practice in your own name will continue, only for a limited purpose of pulling the resources and showcasing to the world you are coming together. So that is what is alliance. Once you are comfortable, once you are comfortable with the alliance model, the next step can be the network. And in network, you may choose to have a network with that lead firm concept, where of course in alliance model, all the firms are applying separately under MEF. If the lead firm model is there, then the entire network will apply under the single name, and the combined strength shall be considered. And of course, the ultimate purpose, when somebody asks the question, would it lead to the merger? Of course, merger will be the ultimate thing. That is the climax. We want you to come with the alliance. As Chitleswar rightly said, 1 or 2 years you are comfortable, then go to the next step, go to network. And once you are comfortable, maybe over a period of 4 to 5 years, you may go into the merger model also. That can be the utmost optimal thing. Yeah, sir.
I think, Jay, only I would say that you said earlier it is difference between engagement and marriage. I would say that youngsters are more there, so it is engagement and living relationship. And after that, in merger, you will mature into marriage. Kashinath.
Okay, sir. Sir, one question is regarding how to create visibility of such alliances or networks in the market. Specific focus on social media and digital presence. Is there any specific guidelines?
So it's a very good question. Of course, it has hardly any relevance with networking guidelines. But let us understand one thing. Visibility is essential. In today's world, visibility is utmost essential. For success, you require vision and visibility, both vision and visibility. So let us understand, while advertisement is not permitted in our profession by our code of ethics, but yes, within the framework of the code of conduct, it is always possible to ensure that you become visible. Like now, for visibility, see, you don't want to be visible to the entire world at large. You are into a particular segment. You are focusing certain type of clients. So, some basic principles of marketing applies. When I say marketing, I'm not telling someone to go beyond the code of conduct, right? But remaining within the code of conduct, marketing is very much visible. Suppose you are providing certain type of services. For such type of services, say I'm from Surat and I'm providing a particular type of services where my target is only firms. My target is only companies where the turnover is at least 5,000 crores. I am providing them certain type of services. Some say value-added services. So now I might identify which are the companies in Surat. If I'm looking at only the local market, I'm just giving an example. How many companies are there which can be my target, which can be my clients in coming future? Say suppose I list out 80 to 100 companies, then maybe I find out the opportunity to interact with them. Maybe sometimes through the clubs or sometimes to organizations, I go as a speaker, I interact with them on some particular topic, and by way of interaction, while you are on the dinner table, right, you interact and you show that, see, this is what our network is, this is what our alliance is, that, and we are providing such type of services. See, these are all informal channels. Right? If you look at US, in US it is said that if a person is swimming and he comes out of this pool and somebody meets, even from his swimwear, he will pull out the card and hand it over. And this is what we are. So let us understand, marketing happens at the marriage function also, and sorry to say that, but at funerals also. See, these are all informal channels. These are all informal ways of coming in touch with the prospective type of people. Let us first understand what type of services we want to provide. 1. 2. What are the prospective clients who would require such type of services? 3. How we are going to design the meetings with them, right? Formal, informal, staying within the code of conduct. And 4. How we are going to showcase them our strength, right? And of course, make it sure that we are in touch with them, and through emails, through messages, or through other ways, we are in constant touch with them. Because let us understand one beautiful principle of branding. A beautiful principle of branding states that first 19 times you look at a brand, you start recognizing it. You start recognizing it. After the 24th time, you see the same brand, you feel that, yes, I may go with this brand. So these are some of the principles of marketing and branding. I think that is what is universal. One has to go by that, right? Remaining within code of conduct, you can go to any extent for your visibility. Yeah.
Yes, I think Jay, as you rightly said, that there is no different code of ethics for network. So everybody is abided by the same set of code of ethics. And in informal manner, you will be able to showcase your strength. But let me tell you, in formal manner also, you will be able to showcase your strength. In a sense, supposing a particular company seeks bids for statutory audit, internal audit, or whatever assignment. In that case, if you are, say, 3-partner firm, if you are not a part of network, then you will be giving profile with only 3 partners and whatever work these 3 partners have. But if your network of such, say, 5 firms of 3 partners, maybe you will be able to showcase strength of these 5 firms together, and that will maybe more impress the client rather than just a 3-partner firm and their profile. So you will definitely be able to even formally showcase yourself as a big firm. Of course, it is not just showcasing, it is also in alliance, you have to take help of the other firm. So by mind also, as we say that in taxation, by letter and by substance. So when we are talking of this alliance network, by substance also you have to come together, not just by form. So that one has to keep in mind. And as far as this alliance is concerned, how to come together, etc. Besides marriages and funerals, maybe this particular platform is also one platform for the purpose of, you can put in chat box that, yes, my firm is open for networking, please contact me. Maybe others will contact you. Right now, I am also telling Jay Bhai that, okay, please take me in your network so that my brand value will automatically increase. So likewise, you can use any channel, you identify the person, and you be a channel partner. Suhas Bora is also there. If you talk to him, I think you will have great opportunities. Thank you.
Sir, next question is how to form alliance? Can you share draft deed or to make alliance?
I think points relating to this draft deed are already available in the revised guidelines. So you may go through those revised guidelines and you will definitely be able to do that. What I would suggest, Chairman and Vice Chairman, that maybe post this particular meeting or webinar, maybe at a monthly interval, if we have a platform available, maybe till the time this lockdown is there, on this virtual platform, otherwise physically, you can invite all those chartered accountants who want to join the network. Let them showcase their strength, because if a particular firm is doing only GST, and if it tells another chartered accountancy firm that we are specialists in GST and we want to have alliance with maybe firms doing statutory audit, firms doing say tax audit, internal audit, or IT work, so that definitely we can facilitate through branch. Once when we mature with the branch, maybe we can tie up with another 4, 5, 10 branches in the region, beyond the region. So that will definitely be affording platform for the purpose of networking. And if we do that, I think we will also be doing service to our profession with an ultimate objective of having big firms. So maybe Chairman, Vice Chairman can think in this behalf. If they require any help, Jai Bhai is available, I am available, we can think of it.
Yes, sir, surely. Under your guidance, we will start this activity, sir.
Yeah, Jai Bhai will guide more.
Yes, sir.
Sir, next question is, does alliance or network model will be taxable as AOP?
So this is a very important question. On this particular thing, we are still working on. There was a lot of discussion has taken place as to under what model, because for the purpose of taxation, whether a separate pen would be required or not. But as of now, a small group has been created which is studying that, and they are discussing more in favor of AOP, that it should be covered under AOP. But yet, on that particular aspect, I think Chitra, this was being discussed in the meeting in Kerala, where a particular group was going to be made under Pramod Jain ji, who was going to suggest what is the right model, and the model suggested was as AOP, so that things can be done more smoothly. I think if you are a part of the group, maybe you are aware of this fact.
The group may deliberate, but at the moment, see, if my view is that this particular alliance is only for the purpose of, say, presenting your, showcasing your capacities, and then subsequently, whenever appointment is not made in the name of network, it is made in the name of a particular firm. Be it any model, be it alliance, be it B1, B2, ultimately there is a privity of contract between the client and a particular firm. And then in turn, that firm gives some portion to other firms, either for the purpose of doing work or for the purpose of being, say, part of network, etc. So I believe that presently this AOP is not getting any fees, they are not getting any contract. Therefore, presently that issue may not come. When we showcase this case before the government and MCA or maybe this Reserve Bank makes appointment in the name of a network, point of time the complications will start. Then we will have to consider whether AOP and what, and on that maybe this group will discuss. But in the meantime, I believe that since the appointments are made in the name of an individual firm, I believe that those individual firms will be taxed, and everybody, whatever share he gets on that share, he will be taxed, and that will be expensed out by the firm paying that particular fee, referral fee or work fee, whatever.
Okay, sir. Next question is,
Suhas has any other view, or we can just ask. Hello.
Next question. Suppose CA firm based in Pune want to make alliance with CA firm in Dubai. How it can be done? Please guide it on practical based point of view.
So here the answer is, as of now, the ICA has come up with domestic networks, right? The firms within India. The next step, we are just first waiting for the responses. As Chitla sir said, the networking guidelines were framed and it was open to the public exposure, right? After that, finally it was developed once again and put to the council. Council cleared it. And the concept was, let us first float it to our members for 1 year. Let the members come up with the ideas. And on the basis of that, once we freeze it, then we go to the next step of having the international networks. As of now, these guidelines are only domestic guidelines.
Next question is, how networking works in execution of task assignment?
How network works in task allocated.
Execution of task assignment.
Execution. So let us understand. See, it is all wide agreement. Let us understand. There can be 5 different firms with different verticals. Suppose one firm deals with income tax, another with GST, third with project finance. Let us take an example. If such type of firms come together, they may enter into agreement that whatever firms get the work, they will share so and so basis of fees, and on the basis of verticals, these firms will actually work. That can be one of the models. Another model can be geographical. That whatever work one firms get, it will go geographically. Say, suppose 5 firms come from different regions. The firm in north will do the work in all the various verticals in north. So that can also be that. There is full flexibility. The firms can enter into agreement and they can keep on changing the agreement from time to time based on the requirements within the framework of the Chartered Accountants Act and regulations. Let us understand how to get the work, they can decide. How to share the work, they can decide. Who will do the work, they can decide. How they will share the income, they can decide. While there can be model draft provided by ICI, but that is only indicative. The firms are totally free to draft their agreements the way they can. They can have a metric structure. They can have geographical as well as, geographical segment as well as business segments. And all the ways they feel they are more comfortable, they can go with that. So,
Just to supplement Jay, that while we are discussing execution of work, let us be mindful of that regulatory aspect also. If supposing there is a particular company from Pune and it is also having a factory at say Surat, and some Surat firm is also engaged in doing work relating to that factory at Surat, and Pune firm is doing the rest of the work. So if there is any negligence in doing work at Surat or at the other place, because this Pune firm is appointed as an auditor, because one firm will be appointed to accept the assignment, there will be all responsibility with the firm which is executing that particular assignment in its own name. In turn, if they have given some work to other firm and that other firm is found negligent, maybe those two firms will have to negotiate their responsibilities. As far as client is concerned, client may opt to file suit only against the firm to which it has appointed, because it may not be able to access that particular firm. And if at all they want to file a disciplinary complaint and they have come across this particular agreement, etc., they may rope in both the firms. So that has to be understood, that network is not till today getting appointed. Once we accept the network and that network gets appointed, then the question of legal responsibility will come with all the firms. But as of today, because one firm is getting appointed, that particular firm will have to answer the regulatory compliances to the regulators.
So next question is, in case of misconduct of one firm or member shall affect the entire networking.
so that was already discussed twice. When I said delinquency, I mean the same thing. If there is a misconduct by only one firm and the work is particularly allocated to that firm only, other firms are not involved, then the other firms will not be affected by that. But if there is a particular project jointly taken up by say two firms, right, jointly executed, and partners of these firms, both of them are suppose involved into that, then naturally they will be affected. So that's why it is always better to have a proper concept of allocation and proper documentation. As a thumb, if one firm is looking at it, other firms will not be affected.
If a proprietor enter into partnership and also keep his individual practice intact, and the partnership firm applies for employment of bank or CAG audit, will he be considered in the number of partners criteria?
Naturally not. See, this has nothing to do with network, but our current PDC MEF requirements is that you can have your credit point only at one point, right? Only at one point. You cannot have the points in your proprietorship firm also and in partnership firm also. No, that is not possible.
No, and I think that where the partner is also practicing otherwise than as a partner, no credit is counted in the firm which is applying. So he will get zero credit even in the firm. And as a proprietor, he cannot apply.
What would be the GST implication on network firm and the firm which have been joined the network?
I think as he already answered, in case of income tax, a separate group has been formed. So that group will deliberate and answer. But in the meanwhile, as I said, that network is not getting any assignment. So there won't be any GST, because ultimately fees will be paid by client to a particular firm. So whatever continues presently, I think it shall continue.
Sir, can you explain the difference between alliance model and B1 networking model?
I think that is already answered once. This is a repeat question.
So we'll quickly touch it up. So we'll quickly touch it up. In alliance, you are just coming together. That's it. That's it. Right? Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that. You are all individually continuing with your same work that you are doing. You are not taking any work in the name of alliance. Right? In case of network, it is a little more concrete concept. It is a little more regulated concept. But that's the only major difference. Alliance is the first step to promote you, to motivate you to go to the network. That's it.
And generally, alliance is for knowledge sharing, to enrich your own knowledge, because even if, say, 3 firms are doing income tax, those are small firms, they may not have the entire exposure of the arena of income tax. So maybe they can come together, share their knowledge, and then practice in their individual way. In network, maybe for empanelment, etc., there will be more concrete understanding agreement. So,
What are the areas which women CA can preferably explore while handling work-life balance?
I think that is beyond the syllabus.
So there can be a number of areas. As I said, I would suggest Pune branch to keep a separate program on various opportunities for females. See, as a thumb, let us understand. Remove a concept that is something like a woman chartered accountant. A chartered accountant is a chartered accountant. Females are not required to be empowered. They are already empowered today. If a female has become a chartered accountant, she is already empowered. See, this word might be okay in a rural area where physical work is there. Maybe you differentiate between the two if it is a physical work. When it comes to intellectual work, and particularly when a woman has become a chartered accountant, she is a chartered accountant. But still, maybe you can have one program on that.
Someplace.
No, even in case of, there was one program of CLCGC, they were drafting code of conduct for women independent directors. And there I said that maybe we are today talking about women empowerment, but the way the profession is getting developed, I think after 5-10 years, we will have to talk of what is the scope available to male chartered accountants.
Sir,
they are already empowered, they are getting bigger in number.
Sir, I have one question. At present, I think networking is not allowed to make applications in basically tender government tenders was. Is any process going on or for tenders was, because big firms have 10-15 partners, but at present networking is not allowed to apply for government tenders. Is there any remedy, sir?
So Samirji, I'll very quickly answer to it. Of course, Chitle sir will give you the details. Just quick answer is that as of now, if we go to the government and we say that you recognize our networks, then government will ask the details. How many networks we have? And suppose we say that after these guidelines, we have come up with 5 networks. Would the government consider that? Let us understand. First, you have to ensure that we have sizable numbers. See, it's all a number game. When you go to the government and you say that, just look at it. This is the number. This is a number, right? You recognize it. We already started. The PDC has already gone to C&AG. PDC has already gone to RBI. PDC has gone to already IBC. PDC has gone to all the various regulators, trying to explain that this is our network guidelines and we want your support to recognize these networks, because it is a win-win position for Indian chartered accountants and the Indian government. Indian chartered accountants are better in providing quality services. We want Indian firms to grow, and we want to making them bigger so that they get foreign work here. This will be a beneficial to the Indian economy also. We already gone there and explained them. But their question is, how many networks or how many alliances you have? Suppose today I say that I have 2 alliances. What is the view of the government? So we first require maybe 200, 500, 1,000 alliances. Then we go to the government. Of course, you are continued, but then you'll be in a better position to negotiate with the regulators. So.
And as far as these representations are concerned, they start with a preamble that it is dream of our honorable Prime Minister to have 100 big firms in India. So they are taken seriously because it is not only an institute, but also Prime Minister wants to do it, and ultimately government has to toe the line the Prime Minister wants.
Well, thank you, sir. Ultimate purpose of this networking mergers or acquisition is to grow your firms in numbers and also make the quality. As Chitra sir rightly said, first make the engagement and then maybe you can convert into marriage. Mean that can be a big partnership firm. We have with us Suhas Bora sir, which is one of the largest big firm in the Pune now, with lot of partners, and maybe Suhas sir has started long back. I think I don't know exactly number of years, but maybe one either proprietor or two partners. So sir, just can you explain your experience to youngsters, how to go with partners, how to increase the number of partners, what you look after when you take the new person as a partner, how transparency going on? Just experience, so that this experience will be definitely help us youngsters to grow our firms.
And whether he is open for networking so that people will call him also.
Yeah, it is, sir. It is last moment request, I know, but you have accepted my request at last moment. So please, sir, thank you very much for accepting at last moment. Please explain your experience, sir.
Chairman of Pune branch and the Vice Chairman Kashinath, as well as both the council member. At the outset, I express my gratitude for giving me an opportunity to speak on this webinar, which is on the networking. And honestly, today, rightly Shekhar said, yes, we are open. It's been vision given to us for SPCM. For my sharing of the partnership, consider that right from the beginning, we had a vision that we should have partnership. So right from the first year of the profession, way back in 1986, we started as a partnership firm. And then we go on co-opting our own articles who has been qualified chartered accountant. For some years, they are been with us as been associate, and then almost we do a policy after 6 or 7 years. Then we co-opted them as a partner as such to work. The basic thing which we make out is that while admitting the partners, we never made any agreement that who are the old clients or new clients or the partnership in the not in the existing fees or the extra, they are only partners in the after the new clients came, or that is not the case with us. And that is the reason till today we are practicing as a partnership firm for almost more than 33 years in the profession. And in between also, one of my friend Pradeep Kataria, we were together while doing the CA also. And then when we started independently, then after some time we said, why to start independent? Let us be merged. And therefore, the Pradeep also joined in 1992. And therefore, initially we were having 2 different offices to Pune, but right now, last 6 or 7 years, we had a good infrastructure, and we all the partners sit at the 1 floor only, and we are also associates with us, which we have been coping them. We are giving them motivation that after some span of time, if they scale out themselves, they will be also been co-opted in the firm as a partner to work out. This is what I feel it that key in our profession, unless and until you join hands as a partner, no doubt alliance and the networking has been the first steps before going to the partnership. But when you have a policy of adopting your own students has been there, because they are with you for 3 years as an article chief, then 5 to 6 years as associate, then naturally they'll become a like-minded people, and there will not be any problem to go ahead with them as a partners also. But this, Shekhar, let me honestly say that with your talk today and Jay's talk today, we are thinking that SPCM say those who have become chartered accountant who are sitting outside Pune also, we can think about them to form a big network to go ahead with that firm. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity.
Yeah, and I think I should request Chairman that you can arrange one high tea party at SPCM so that people will witness how big they have grown, and maybe they will have this desire to join network.
Yes, you are most welcome, Shekhar. You are most welcome, Shekhar. You are knowing that on the 1st of July every year we have blood donation camp in association with the branch, and you have also visited at that time. I request all of you, all the members also who have been participants there, can come to the office and they say how the infrastructure we created and how we are acting as a work.
Yeah, and that is the advantage of being big, that maybe big players also think of your firm. Otherwise, small persons don't think. And let us understand simply that if there are 5 firms having, say, 300 square feet office, then people will think that in a different fashion. But all 5 come together and they will say 1,500, 2,000 square feet office. Maybe that will be seen differently. Even your expenses are shared. All these 5 offices will require 5 telephone operators, 5 office by, and without them they cannot function. Maybe if a staff doesn't come, doesn't matter, but ultimately these agencies have to be there. But when 5 persons come together, again you don't need 5 telephone operators and 5 office boys. So there are a number of advantages in it. All cannot be spelled out, but once when you join this network, you will definitely realize. And let me tell you again, the network is only a comma, it is not full stop. For being really big, you have to have a partnership. But before partnership, as you know, there may be certain concerns that whether your work culture will get aligned, whether your practices will get aligned. So maybe whatever agreement you make, that agreement is not only on physicals, that sharing infrastructure and this. The agreement will be more on, okay, what ethical policies we will have, what quality or standards we will discharge, etc. So that will in long run operate. And that will also provide a point of reference whenever there is a difference of opinion. We use it as a point of reference, and those who feel that, okay, there has been some aberration here and there, can toe the line. Ultimately, let us try to understand in long run, being big gives advantages in itself. It may have some limitations, but say there are 10 partners and one partner is down with corona. That firm will not suffer because maybe other 9 partners will take care of it. And even as far as income sharing is concerned, rather than that income being zero, the partner who is admitted in a hospital for say maybe 1 month or 2 months, he will have some stream of income coming to him because other partners are considerate. They will not say that, okay, for 2 months he has not worked, so don't give any money. That considerations are also there. So one has to really seriously consider all these facts, where all these facts cannot be translated into black and white. So surely this firm or other big firms, you can have one meeting. Maybe we can have say 20, 30 young chartered accountants visit various firms which are big, so that they will realize what type of work they are doing. There may be certain types of assignment which you or me might not have imagined, but those firms are already doing those assignments. Why? Because they have this strength available.
Well, thank you, Suhas sir, for last moment joining and guiding us and sharing your experience to us and youngsters for how to grow your firm. Before a formal vote of thanks from Kashinath, I just want to make announcement that on 28th and 29th we have virtual conference, 2 days conference on company law hosted by Pune branch along with head office. So if you have not registered already, kindly register it by today or tomorrow, so that you will get wonderful insights for 2 days on very good subjects and very good speakers of company law. Thank you very much. Kashinath, over to you for formal vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, all of you. I sincerely thanks to Jay Sarya sir for giving his wonderful insights in network and alliances. Also thanks to C.V. Chitrale sir for guide to all of us. Also thank Suhas Bora sir for last minute joining, and thanks all participants. In spite of Sunday, all are coming in big number. Thanks all of you. Thank you.
Also thanks to Aishwarya Gundecha for a wonderful MOC as always. You are always there for the working for Pune branch. Thanks a lot, Aishwarya.
Thank you,
She's
sir,
not
and thank
always
you
not
to all the speakers.
6 months. Of course, in virtual mode, she can join from US also.
Absolutely, sir, I will. So with this, thank you all the speakers, and thank you for, all the members for a very enthusiastic participation. Also, thank you, Suhas sir, for that high motivation at the last moment. With this, we conclude the session and looking forward to more such insightful sessions. So thank you, Pune branch of ICAI. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Jai Bhai, for joining.